Hi, my name is Kathy Spicer. Welcome to the New Fly Fisher. Today we're going to be talking about women in the sport of fly fishing.
And I'm Pat Robinson. I'm president of the Real Women Fly Fishing Club based out of Burlington, Ontario. We're also going to be talking about ladies' clubs throughout Ontario, Canada, U.S., and even internationally, how you can start your own and how you can find information about them.
Lots of good things coming up. Stay tuned.
The New Fly Fisher is sponsored by the Atlantic Salmon Federation, Bank of Montreal MasterCard, Ducks Unlimited, Canada's conservation company, Teton Fly Reels, Hodgman Outdoor Products. During the last 10 years, there's been a real explosion of interest in fly fishing by women. The reasons vary widely, but the central theme seems to be a desire by many to spend quality time in the outdoors. Some women starting out find it difficult to learn and join principally male-dominated fly fishing clubs. So over the past few years, there's been quite a few women's fly fishing clubs that have sprung up throughout Canada and the United States. In July, I had the privilege to join two women's fly fishing clubs based in Ontario to fly fish for smallmouth bass and northern pike. Over the course of the day, I got a better appreciation of the reasons why women are drawn to this outdoor activity and how many of them got started.
Strictly because of my husband. He's been fly fishing for about 25, 30 years, and I have spin casted all of my life, and he showed me a new way to do things and put a fly rod in my hand, and here it is, and been doing it for about 3 years. I see it also as a sport that I can do with my husband. We have very little time together as it is with his schedule and my schedule. And it's time that we can spend doing something that is both a big passion to both of us. We go out, we discover new things, new rivers, new places to fish, and it's time alone with my husband. And also, you know, with the girls, it's good to get out and have that time alone, the weekend trips away and away from the hustle and bustle of work. And you know, whether you're a mother or a wife, you know, just to kind of break away from that for a couple of days is nice, and fish with new things and new people. And I think fly fishing is really, it's it's so interesting because you have to think about what you do. It's not you put a lure on, you throw it in, you drag it in. You have to think, you know, are they feeding on the bottom or are they feeding on the top? You know, what are they feeding? I mean, you have to really think. You have to stop and you have to look at the river and you have to figure out what's going on. And so it's not something that you just go do for an hour or so. It takes a while to go out, look, see what's going on, see what they're doing, then dive in and see what you can come up with. Whether you catch a fish or not, it really doesn't matter to me, and it probably doesn't matter to a lot of the women. It's just the camaraderie, the time alone, the tranquilness, the scenery, the birds, the rushing of the water. I think all of it kind of ties in together.
My husband got me into fly fishing. When we were married, he told me that he enjoyed fishing. I didn't quite understand what that meant exactly. I didn't know that meant that he was completely obsessed with fly fishing. So I decided that I would give it a try so that we would have a chance to spend more time with each other. And I didn't really care for it for the first few times I went. But after I got better equipment and I got waders and I got a chance to fish different waters, I decided it was something I really enjoyed. And since then, we've been fishing as many places as we can, as often as we can, and we really love it.
Well, I was looking for something to do, and I was searching on the internet for mostly yoga, Tai Chi, that kind of thing, and I was in an Ottawa website, and this one came up, and I thought, hey. And I have fished with my husband in spin casting, and when I was doing some spin casting with him, I'd gotten a library book out, and it went through fly casting, and I thought, well, that sounded interesting too. So that when this club showed up, and I was going, oh, I could go to this, and I called up and went, and everything I learned and everything I found out was more and more and more. So.
It is not hard to understand why women are drawn to fly fishing. The reasons mirror why men enjoy this outdoor activity. Fly fishing is artistic, flowing, challenging, occurs in beautiful places, provides the opportunity to de-stress, and more importantly, it provides a connection with nature that is difficult to find in any other sport.
The key reasons why women are drawn to this sport, from what I understand, speaking from my personal experience and talking to other women, is a love of nature. We all appreciate being outside. Most of us just love standing in the river and observing nature. And because the sport is so meditative and so can be a very quiet activity, I think what it does for a lot of us is it puts us into that space where it's a stress buster. There's at least a couple of us that I know of, 3 of us, who have incredibly high stress jobs. Darlene, for example, is a neonatal nurse. I work at a rape crisis center. You know, just to give some examples of some high stress jobs. Tatiana is a software developer. She works long hours and is interacting with clients constantly. So I think it's the solitude and that kind of zen quality that comes with fly fishing, where you just get into the groove of being one with what you're doing, one with nature, and then there's that incredible rush when you've got a fish on. It's just, that's a bonus. But the best part of it is the solitude, the quiet, and then the coming together afterwards.
Well, I think the interest is there. I think that, you know, they've seen us, they've heard about us, they have heard of the sport. And I think for the women that work in a high-pressure job, something to just get out, get one with nature, have a good time, fish. If you catch something, fine. If you don't, fine. You know, that's why it's called fishing and not catching. I think it's just, you know, being one in yourself, just having that time to just relax and just forget about the world and do your thing. And women, the women that come into our shop, it's unbelievable. You know, at first we didn't carry women's things. Now there are manufacturers that are, you know, making things available to us that makes it a lot better for the women, instead of us having to be fitted in men's gear. And I think that was one thing that shied women away from it. They were getting waders that were too big. They were getting boots that were too big. They felt clunky in the equipment that they had. They didn't feel comfortable. And when you don't feel comfortable in a sport, you're not going to stick with it. So I think, you know, basically with the manufacturers that, you know, that are out there today that allow you to do that, I think it's fabulous that they're coming out with something built and made, structured for a woman.
I don't know about women, but for me, I feel like a kid. I feel, you know, like you did when you were a kid and you went out and played, you know, outside. For what I do in my work, I have a lot of responsibility to other people, and this is like total no responsibility except to myself. The only competition you have is between yourself and the fish. It's not against other people. It is just you, so you can see, okay, today's a bad day, you're not casting well, or, you know, and then the next day or the next minute, the next hour, you're better, and you can be the best you can be, and you can be the worst you can be, and it's still okay.
In the United States, it was recently assessed over a 2-year period that in excess of 40% of all new anglers to take up fly fishing are women. Like anybody new to the sport, fly fishing may seem a little daunting. However, if people use some of the resources that are available, they can quickly understand the fundamentals of this outdoor activity. The ladies had some outstanding recommendations on how to get started.
Your local fly shop is an excellent place to start for finding out where a good place to fish is, where to get lessons. Often fly shops will offer lessons, and it's really worth paying the money to get a good start and to get good casting instruction, to get the basics on how to set a hook, what kinds of flies to use. That's where I started, and I've never regretted spending the money on lessons. And you don't need to spend a lot of money to start. I mean, you could spend, as much as you want to, but most fly shops will have a starter kit for a reasonable amount of money. You can often start off without waders. I'm wet wading today. The first year that I fly fished, I didn't own waders or boots. So you can just start with the basics and not spend a heck of a lot of money.
I think the first thing would be to go to your local fly shop, talk with someone there, an experienced person that can get you in the right direction. Take casting lessons. Don't learn it the wrong way is probably the best thing that I can tell you. There's so much out there and so much to be offered. There's guiding, there's casting clinics, there's schools that you can participate in where your equipment is provided for you. So if you don't care for the sport, you don't want to pick it up, then you don't have any money invested. If you do like it and you want to branch out, then I would say, start off with good stuff and it's comfortable stuff. And I think probably your local fly shop would be a good place to start.
If you go on the internet, there's quite a wide variety of resources. A lot of the fly fishing magazines have websites. Fly shops have websites as well. You can look for your local fly shops to see if they have websites with local fishing information. There's almost always information on any place you're likely to go fishing in terms of locations. The boards of trade and tourism in many localities have websites that have information on fishing. There's also organizations, clubs that have websites. There's conservation authorities will have information on various rivers. There are organizations like the Federation of Fly Fishers and the International Women Fly Fishers also maintain websites where people can find out about clubs in their area and instructors in the case of the FFF.
To learn more about how to get started or to locate resources about fly fishing, please visit our website at www.thenewflyfisher.com. Many people do not realize it, but the history of modern sport fishing really began with the writings of a woman, Dame Juliana Berners, who was a 15th century nun, noblewoman, and fishing fanatic. Many think that the writings of Isaac Walton were the first on sport fishing, but the reality is that the tracks in Berners' book, Treatise of Fishing with an Angle, preceded Walton by being published in 1496. Berners' writing has been hailed as one of the best and most enduring pieces written about sport fishing. Some historians contend that she did not really exist, but like the questions surrounding the works of Shakespeare, there will always be those that question the authenticity or origins of historic prose. The key is, women have been fishing for sport and leisure for a very long time. Today, women have more opportunity and interest in fly fishing. On the day we went fishing, conditions were relatively tough. A cold front had passed through the area the day before, and the fish were in a rather lethargic mood. Additionally, the river we were fishing was in a low state, and the water was relatively clear. The key to success was the use of Rachel's Mississippi Mermaid, fished slowly near the bottom. Numerous nice-sized bass were taken by the ladies when they slowed down their retrieve. With a growing interest by women throughout North America in fly fishing, it is not surprising they would want to start their own clubs for sharing information and socializing.
Well, the reason I started the club or got the idea of the club was that I found that fly fishing was incredibly empowering, and I really liked the idea of women finding, empowerment in that kind of male-dominated activity, and I really value the companionship of women and wanted to turn them on to this sport because I found it fascinating. I find it a creative sport. There's lots of different levels of learning involved in fly fishing. So you can go as far as you like in this sport, as far as learning and finding aspects of it that really appeal to you personally. A lot of women love being outside anyways, and I think it's a very natural extension of love of nature, of understanding the environment, and fits in really well with a lifestyle that includes camping, includes canoeing, includes observing wildlife. Certainly when I've been out on the river here today, I've seen beaver, kingfishers, all kinds of insects. So the opportunities for nature watching while you're fishing is really wonderful as well.
I think the reason we started is because we wanted to have other women that we could fish with, other women that we could show what a good sport it is, and just the camaraderie and get everybody out and the networking between women. And because our club, we have over 50 members, and we have mothers, we have widowers, we have business women, and it's just something to, it's just like the gentlemen do. They go out to clear their head, to fish, to have a good time, and that's exactly what we wanted for other women to have other women to fish with.
One of the side benefits of fly fishing for women was found in a most unexpected place, through survivors of breast cancer. During the last few years, numerous programs known as Casting for Recovery or Casting for Life have been run throughout Canada and the United States. While fishing in Alberta recently, I met with Linda McLennan, who told me a little about the program they have been running there for the past few years.
I became a part of Casting for Life 5 years ago. We brought a team up from the States, the Orvis Company, with doctors and instructors. We did a fly fishing school, and I was invited to come along and see how things worked at a Casting for Life retreat. Since then, we have somewhat changed the procedure of the weekend. I saw a vision of making it used to be called Casting for Recovery, and we changed it to Casting for Life. And that way it gave a direction of hope and gave the women a different perspective on what we were doing. It has been a very emotional ride for me because they share their lives and come out of the weekend totally renewed and to take another opportunity at life because of all the hardships that they've been through. This weekend has given them a sense of hope, a sense of renewal, of new friendships, people who have gone through the same things that they've gone through, and they've taught me so much. I will continue with Casting for Life for as long as I can and helping make these weekend retreats very, very special so that they feel totally spoiled and totally pampered, and I come out of it having a sense of balance and knowing my perspective of life has to change. When I go home, I continually change my life to say, I need to cut out doing these things. I need to enjoy my life more. I need to get out and fish more. It's a wonderful experience, and these women, they will go away. And friendships that are created during those weekends are phenomenal.
Today, women occupy professional and executive positions at all levels in both industry and government. They are decision makers and architects of policy and planning. Like men, they too feel the considerable stresses that are inherent with positions of responsibility. So it is not surprising that women are also looking for a means to de-stress and forget the pressures of the office. Fly fishing gives them that mechanism.
Well, I think it's a natural thing for women to want to get together to fish, and I think it makes sense that we get together to have a club as well. The reasons why women are drawn to fly fishing are exactly the same reasons that men are drawn to fly fishing. The love of nature, wanting to master a skill and be good at it. You can get as heavily into it as you want to or as lightly into it as you want to. I think the reason why women prefer to fish together and do club activities together has to do with the skill levels at which women typically enter the sport. I think that knowing that you're coming into a club where there are a lot of beginners, a lot of people who are starting out at the same level as it has been with our women's club, it creates an atmosphere where women can ask questions and not have to worry about wasting the expert's time or appearing silly or getting shut down, you know, because of the questions that they're asked. I felt because of my experience of working with women that it just creates an atmosphere where learning is a little bit easier.
We have created a special section in our website dedicated to women fly fishers. In the site, there'll be details of links, information on women's fly fishing clubs, and how to get started in this relaxing and enjoyable outdoor activity. To learn more about this program and our series, please visit us at www.thenewflyfisher.com. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. The New Fly Fisher is sponsored by the Atlantic Salmon Federation, Bank of Montreal MasterCard, Ducks Unlimited, Canada's conservation company, Teton Fly Reels, Hodgman Outdoor Products.